that route.
I'm sorry, I've been practicing lately. So
Have you really?
not made in Mexico. Yes. So area code 327 is Arkansas. Have you ever been?
To Mexico? Yeah.
Oh, to Mexico? I've never been to Mexico.
Yeah.
I've been to Arkansas. So
I haven't been to Arkansas. I have
it's
no.
pretty. It's really pretty.
I'm sure it is. It's just it's not even on the way to anything I would be going to.
No, not unless you're going to
Yeah.
Florida or something. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. Do you have to go through Arkansas to get to Florida?
No, you can go through Texas and Louisiana. Avoid
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So,
Are we going?
yeah, we're going,
Oh,
man. I
okay.
didn't
All right.
really have
Nice.
anything else going on here.
No, 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 no. That's fine. I just didn't know.
So.
Just a little timer here.
Yeah, I just got up from a nap.
No, it's fine. I mean, you sound kind of tired.
Dude, I've been sleeping hard the last week. So,
You're sleeping hard.
like,
Good or
yeah,
not?
like 10, 11 hours a night.
Hmm.
So, just filling up the sleep bank. So,
It doesn't work, but it feels good to try.
yeah, no, I'm trying
It,
it.
it has a, I think it has a mental effect anyway.
It does have a mental effect.
Yeah.
And that, and I haven't been playing anything, man. I think I'm kind of computer gamed out at the moment. So,
It happens.
it does happen. I'm kind of out. Yeah. So, I got my 20 bucks worth out of Schedule 1. So, I'm good
Oh, yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
It was only
Yeah.
20 bucks. So, it's like, yeah, that's great. I got a good month out of it. So, oh, but I'm just looking at all that stuff that I've got, and I'm like, nah. No, I was looking at new stuff today. I'm like, nah. So,
I mean, there is stuff out there that does look, fun. I have not had the chance to get around to it,
yeah.
but it does look fun.
Like what?
Uh, well, it hasn't gotten the greatest reviews, but I do kind of want to play the Doom Dark Ages.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Do you swing axes in that, or is it guns, or what?
the new mechanic is the shield.
There's a shield. Okay.
Yes, and there are some. Uh, of course, you do still have shooty guns, but there is a lot
Shooty bang
of
bangs? Yeah.
yeah, there is a lot of uh, there's a lot of melee weapons and stuff like that too.
Okay.
And it has a parry mechanic. So some people have said some things about it. It's not selling very well.
I wonder why.
Because it's different. It's not. Uh, it's sort of like the Doom Curse at this point, where you do one, then you do another one, which is more of one, then you do something that is way the fuck different, and people don't love it.
Oh, okay.
That would be Doom 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, Doom 3 was very different.
Now, again, I don't think it was particularly bad.
I didn't
Wasn't
mind
what
it.
I wanted, though.
Yeah. Okay, so Doom. Maybe I'll go take a look at that. I didn't see that on the thing,
Well,
so it must not be selling well if it wasn't on my Steam page.
uh, no, probably not. Um, yeah, I guess, like I said, it's not doing too well. I do still want to play Claire Obscura Expedition 33. Um, that's supposed to be like the game. I just haven't gotten around to it. Um, there was something else I was looking at, but I can't remember now.
Yeah, I was looking like at a lot of stuff today. There's been some games that passed me by the last couple of years, and I was thinking, maybe I'll go try that. And I was like, nah, no, I'm good. This is absolutely nothing that was tickling my fancy. So otherwise, I probably would have dropped $60 on a new game today. So,
If you're not in the mood, you're not in the mood.
and I
I
think
mean,
that's where I'm at, man.
that's
Yeah.
you know.
So, I mean, I've got enough games on my own Steam account where it's kind of like, well, if I want to go play that for a little bit, I can just go fire one of those up again.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, and I mean, I still really do want to give Skylines 2 a good shake. I
All
just
right.
I cannot bring myself to get past day like 5 on a city. So I cannot,
No,
I have
gotcha.
not been able to land a fish on that thing yet. So,
I was surprised you got that far. I thought you were going to tell me that you like sat down, looked at the title screen for a little bit, like moved the mouse around, didn't click anything,
To see if there's any loot crates.
quit the
Yeah,
desktop.
quit the desktop.
Yeah, yeah,
Fired up Word so I could work on my book.
pretty much, man.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that, man. I actually did play it, for I don't know, an hour. So and got through like maybe the first couple milestones on a city.
All right.
And I was just like, don't like this map. So
That's just not how the first one felt. Not at all.
not even
It
close,
was.
man. It was like, oh, I can't wait to unlock that, So this one is it is not, it's just icky, man. I don't like it. So
If there is something in that game resembling a soul, I haven't found
I
it.
haven't found it yet
Um,
either.
it was very much. It's very Grendel-like in the sense that it's just mad that it hasn't been invited to this party. It's gonna get its fucking arm ripped off.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill your mother later.
It's got to be done.
Got to be done. Otherwise, you're gonna get flies around here, man. So, yeah, I cannot get into it. So I was looking at some of the other ones that I passed over. So I never played. What is it, Tropico? And I was
I
like,
haven't.
yeah, I was like, maybe I'll play that. But then I saw that there's a Soviet one too, like Workers and Resource. I was like, maybe I'll do that. And then I was looking at and I was like, no, this game's way up its own ass.
Well,
I
all right.
can't
This
do
was
it.
therein lie the problem. Was I bought the thing. I'd heard decent things about it. Started playing it.
Tropico?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the the thing was okay. This is a city builder.
Right.
I got it. And that was the problem. Was so the twist
Oh,
on this is that this is a joke,
okay.
sort of, right? So that was sort of the problem. That was where it didn't hook me. I'm like, if I'm actually trying to build a city, I want to play a city builder.
Right. I have
And
one of those. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I'm
Yeah, I
not
have
playing
one
it.
of those. Yeah.
And that's why I got like 45 minutes in, and it didn't
Just didn't
it
bite,
just
huh?
didn't feel right.
Yeah,
I,
okay.
I, I was like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore.
No, no, no. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know. I'll poke around a little bit more, see what I can find. Or not, I'll wait for something to come out. I have no idea. I still want to play that Warhammer game, but it's still like $60. I was like, nah. So
Yeah,
it's like it needs to come down in price.
this is a tough one. I don't think I'm going to be one of those people that I don't think I want to pay that price.
I don't want
Now.
to pay that price for a
No,
shooter.
I
No.
don't think I want to pay that price for anything. I don't think I'm going to be one of the people that gets on board that $80 price point.
No, that's okay. I mean, I will for certain titles. I'll definitely do it for GTA 6.
I don't think I
So,
will.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I will. I think.
You can watch plenty of other people play it, that's for sure.
Well, that's the thing. That's the impression is that'll be the only game out,
Oh, no, there'll be more.
and that's the trick. I don't get on board with this. As a matter of fact, the number of studios that have proven right now that actually the smart thing to do is reduce the staff by about 75%,
90%.
maybe even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it down to 3 guys or maybe one.
Well, no, there's guys out there doing it with 30. 30's good. 30's a small staff. 30 is not 210
Not
people. That is
210
not
people. Yeah.
240 people. That is not a fucking. You do not have to have. You have an HR guy who also has another job,
Right.
right? You do not have an HR department. You do not have a fucking like you don't have a DEI department. You don't have shit. You have people that want to work on the project.
Yeah, yeah. So
You
I'm
know,
fine with that. I mean, that Schedule 1 game was done by a guy,
one dude.
one dude. And that game is fucking hilarious in its own right. Because nobody's looking over his shoulder and say, people aren't going to get that joke.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Put it in there anyway.
No, that's the thing. It's like, well, I'm not really making it for you. I hope people get this, and I mean that's the trick. Is there's the quality on independent stuff is through the roof with the same tools that the big guys are
Hmm.
doing with better results that cut out fucking 75% of the just like walk around pickup thing, part
There is
that
a lot of that. There is a lot
like
of
that's
that.
not gameplay where it's
No,
just like
I don't like that as
find 10
much
of these
anymore.
feathers. It's like, no, I don't want it.
No,
And you
no,
can't make me.
you can't make me. I don't. You cannot tease me with achievements anymore, buddy.
No, no,
Mm.
no, you cannot. And that does not, that is something that will not warrant an extra $10 to $20. All
Mm.
those, the Switch 2 games starting at $80, physical copy $90. Physical copy doesn't have anything on it,
Yeah, I know. It's just
which
a
is
box.
ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Um, I cannot wish failure upon something fast enough.
Yeah, I'm not. I didn't even think about buying one. So, it
I
didn't
didn't
even
even
cross my.
care.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it didn't
that's
even
that's
cross my
uh,
like.
that's uh,
It's like, oh, well, I better watch out for that kind of thing. It's like, wait, what? That's a thing?
be the weirdest thing in the world for somebody in your family to say, like, "Can we get one of those?"
Oh, there was a time where my daughter probably would have liked one, but not anymore. So she did a little bit of gaming, and then she just didn't really. It didn't really bite. So
That's fine.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So she did play the shit out of that Hogwarts game though.
There you
So
go. Yeah.
yeah, she did like that one quite a bit. She made like five different characters and played it through several times. So and then she was like, "No, I'm good." I was like, "Do you want to play another game?" She's like, "No, let me know if there's another Hogwarts one though." I was like, "Okay."
Did you look? Is Hogwarts Revenge coming out anytime soon, or fucking? Um,
No, I did not see that. Yeah.
it seems to reason that they'd want to capitalize on it again
They're
because it
redoing
was
everything,
huge.
man. Fucking yeah, like they're gonna mint a whole new batch of movies, and I mean, they're 20 years old, so okay, I mean, there's Star Wars movies that fit well within that loop many times over. So
Yeah, that's a good point. But by that logic, that means they should be making new. They should be redoing the Lord of the Rings.
yeah, I think they kind of learned their lesson on that one. So I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe just let sleeping dogs
Well,
lie.
that one can
It's all
stay
right.
in the chamber of secrets for another 100 years, as
I
far
think
as
that's
I'm
fine.
concerned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Just don't
I'm good
touch it.
with that.
You
Yeah,
guys,
just leave it alone.
you did your little thing, with it on Amazon Prime, and to no fanfare.
Everybody hated it.
Right.
Everybody hated it, Jeff. You can't find people who like that.
the well,
you
they
can you can still find a few people who like the Hobbit movies. So, but you cannot find people who like the Rings of Power
the only
series.
people
They
that
don't exist.
yeah, the only people that like Rings of Power are doing it as sort of um, as a contrarian. Look how well represented these things are, but
It's
that
either
counts
that
for
or it's like
fucking
Will's
nothing.
thing with Marvel. You find a guy who's just a Tolkien, simp
That's
all the way
correct.
through,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Well, it's got that in it, so it must be cool."
You don't think a Tolkien simp would absolutely hate that though?
I have no idea, man. Being one of them, I watched about an hour of the first one and I was out.
Why were you out?
Because it was dumb.
Did it respect the lore at all?
No.
All right, there you go. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like a Tolkien simp sounds like they would be out in 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah. True. I heard one? Maybe. I don't know.
But no, if somebody was in there to look and say like, oh, check it out, these dwarves are black women with beards, right? Then
Well,
yeah, you
that was the Numenorians, but
whatever.
whatever. Yeah, whatever.
But that being said, that's where you saw the positivity. Nobody actually seemed to stand up for the show itself.
No. Well, and the only other thing is well, I'll go and watch it and support it so they can make more stuff later. That would be like your argument number three that I'd probably hear from somebody.
That's an awful one.
It is an awful one, but I have heard it made. So yeah, you know, in the past, particularly from Star Wars fans. Yes.
That's crazy.
Oh no, I've heard it, man. It's like, yeah, well, we didn't like that last one. If we don't go see it, they'll stop making them.
And they haven't. I mean, they've
Yeah,
slowed
yeah.
down quite drastically.
Well, good, because I don't need to see that stuff anymore.
No, it came time. I mean, my dad didn't say it directly, but we were there when they went through the things that he liked and
Right.
systematically changed them one by one.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything deterministic about that, though.
No, they're going to mine your properties. If they haven't gotten to it yet, if you like something, Patrick,
They're gonna get it to it.
they will
Yeah,
get to
they
it,
will get to it.
and they won't respect it.
Well, yeah, no, they won't.
They don't like it for the reasons that you do.
No, 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 no. I'm trying to think if there's a property that I can think of that they haven't molested. Maybe G.I. Joe?
Well, okay, so they haven't molested like Sid Meier's pirates. Sid Meier's pirates. Let's be specific.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, they got to GI Joe some time ago.
Did they?
Oh yeah,
I didn't remember a G.I. Joe movie.
that's it. That's the point.
Oh, okay. All right, I got
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
they made three movies in that series.
When?
Um, 2014,
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I did not see any of
sometime
those.
around there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, no, but they wrecked just about everything else. Like Ghostbusters got wrecked, Transformers got wrecked. Um, Star Wars is basically dead to me now.
they didn't just wreck it, dude. They ran it into the ground.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Indiana Jones, they wrecked that.
Indiana Jones,
They
man,
wrecked
that's
that one. But although
gone.
I do want to play that game, that motherfucker's still $70. So
No, 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 no.
yeah,
That's
no, I'm
not
not gonna pay.
$70 worth of game. They're
No,
crazy.
no,
Come on,
that's what I said. That's why I didn't buy it.
insanity.
So, but anyway, so that one's dead. Um, yeah, all of them. Yeah, they didn't leave any of them alone. And that's the problem when you get hooked on something when you're a kid, is that's how it works. Because later on they say like, oh, you're gonna want to take your kids to that movie, aren't you? So
Right,
and now
right, right.
you're the money making decision maker in the household. Huh? How about 18 Star Wars movies, buddy? So how many reboots of the Marvel universe would you like? So
Oh, they're getting there.
I'm
They're
getting
getting there. It's about time to go ahead and flush it.
there. It's not like a colonoscopy, man.
It is. I mean, that's what they're actually trying to do.
The pain still lingers,
I know. I know. That's their plan right now is to get it to a point where they can restart it with new actors and start over,
Yeah.
which is I don't want to go through it again. And maybe I mean there's a point where it could be like if like they'd have to ask me. They'd have to actually send me like a little card and say what would you like to see in these things? And they'd have to do like 5 out of 6 things that I suggest, right?
Yeah.
In order for me to get excited.
For Marvel?
Yes,
Yeah, I don't even think you could get me anymore.
they'd have to. They'd be like, there's 2 sides to this card, and it says, all right, we'll do 5 out of 6 things that you like. Flip it over, and pick 5 out of 6 things that you dislike, and we're going to avoid them, right? And they'd have to go. They'd have to get 10 out of 12 things
Mhm.
to get me into that theater. And even then, it would be unenthusiastically.
Yeah, I don't think I would go. In fact, I know I wouldn't. So there was something that was coming up that I was like, asking my daughter if she wanted to go to. What the fuck was it?
What, New Jurassic Park?
No, it wasn't New Jurassic Park. So they've been marathoning those on TNT as they do. When a new one is on the horizon. Yeah.
Boy, Pat, those sure are movies, aren't they? It's
I guess you could call them
yeah,
that. Yeah.
they sure are movies. Sometimes when you think it's like, man, I'll never let what happened to Jaws happen to Jurassic Park, and then
Oh
it's
yeah. Yeah.
and then it's Jaws.
It's
It's
totally
it's
Jaws.
Jaws.
I actually watched a chunk of Jaws: The Revenge the other night. It is absolutely awful. It's so bad. It is so bad, man. You know,
Like I don't know how you do that one. I don't know how you take that premise in front of people with a straight face and say like, get this, the shark, um, he knows.
It knows. It's psychic shark. So and it was funny. I got hooked on that because I saw a quote from Michael Caine.
Yeah,
So
he's in it.
he's in
Yeah,
it,
that's
and
kind of seen it.
they
Yeah.
asked him. It was just this thing where they had asked him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, you know, I barely read the script, and you know, it was a really short shoot, and it was in the Bahamas, which was cool, and I bought a house with that money." So, but he says, "I've never actually seen it." Yeah. And sure enough, there it was on YouTube Movies. So
It was funny. I had
Jaws: The Revenge. Jaws 3 is on there, which is equally terrible. So
I don't know. All I know is that one was filmed for 3D. That is the only thing I know about it.
yeah,
But I have not. And
it's the
I,
one with the underwater SeaWorld. So
God, what is the point? What is the plot of that movie? Do you remember at all?
they're doing shark research, you know, with dolphins, and then there's like sharks that get into the thing. So and then Jaws gets into the thing. So, you know, it's like, Amy, there's a shark. This is stupid, man. It does have a scene where it eats a guy, and you get to see him get munched on inside Jaws' mouth. His rubber duck fucking. It looks like something out of Pee Wee's Playhouse with the chair, man.
Now here's okay. This is the problem. Well, I don't even know it's a problem. All right, I'll just say it this way. Uh, that's fine in a movie, right? It's painful when it comes from you can't go from arguably one of the best horror movies,
Oh yeah,
if you want to call it that. That's up to you. I
Jaws
think
one.
this,
Yeah, probably.
I think that's definitely the feeling that it creates. But if you go from that to this,
Right,
if you start here, it's fine.
it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Jaws two isn't terrible.
It's not. It's just
It's just it's
more of
kind
the
of lame.
same. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's just it's like it's not as fun as the first one. So you know, and you don't like the kids, so you know,
no.
which is fine. But then, like the end where he bites the cable, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know?
It
So,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. And he's
So
making noise and he's trying to
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, like
you know. But then, like the others are just awful. So, but the one thing, like they've been on this old movie kick, you
oh,
know, lately, and
all
I've
right.
been watching like Spielberg movies lately. And so I did watch Jaws again. I hadn't seen it in probably like fucking 10 years. So, you know what's really good about that is dialogue. The dialogue of that movie just snaps. I mean, it's like perfect. So you know, all the way throughout the entire thing, there's no wasted words in it. Okay, it doesn't preach to you at all. Okay, it meets you exactly where you are as a member of the audience. You know, so it's just it works. And then and so I got on a little bit of a Spielberg kick. He does the same thing in Poltergeist, which is a terrible movie. So you know, but the dialogue in it is great.
That's not his movie.
Huh?
That's not his movie.
That's what they say. So that's what they say. There is debate about that. He was on set every day.
That's the theory.
So yeah,
But that is
I know.
technically
It's not his movie.
not his movie.
Yeah, but it's his movie.
Does it feel like one of his movies? Maybe. I
Yeah,
mean, I would say that you can feel an influence, right?
totally.
You can feel an
Yeah,
influence, but there's also a part where you say, like, this does not feel, it's not as tight as one of his movies. It's not, you know what? I'll give it credit. There
it's not
are,
that bad.
well, no, it's not that bad. I wasn't there.
There's a lot of goofy effects in it. We'll put it that way.
And I got to tell you, if I were watching that as a kid at that time, because here's the weird thing about Poltergeist, man. This is the thing that they just do not really do here, is that basically that mid-tier, like PG-13 style horror movie,
Yeah, they don't really do that
right?
anymore.
They either go,
Oh no, that's the movie that I wanted. I wanted to go see Final Destination. So that one kind of nails that PG-13 weird stuff. You know?
as a person who's seen quite a few of them.
I've seen almost all of them,
Have you?
man.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
they're
right, all
fun.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They just made a new one for like the first time in like 15 years, and it was like, huh.
Yeah, yeah. Final Destination is you get exactly what's in the package.
Right? Yeah.
You know why you're going to see
There are
it?
no extras on the ticket. Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah, there's no intermission.
No.
There's no opening band. Um, like it says doors at 7, show starts at 8.
It's at
Show
7.
starts at 8, and
Yeah.
you can bang on the chairs all you want. There's not going to be an encore. Like the floodlights turn on at 10, and you are going home.
Right. Yeah. You don't even get a warning.
I have no problem with those movies. There can I can't say they're good. What I can say is that they have a point to make, and they make it.
Over and over and over again.
That's correct.
Over and over. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the one. But that one fits that like PG-13 kind of like that. You're right. They don't make that many movies like that.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. Because I mean, this is like when you talk about that era, right? Like Gremlins is again that could it walks that line between like juvenile and
A
horror,
little bit of horror.
for that PG-13 thing, and that's
I'd say the second one has more horror than the first one.
no way.
What, really, with the spider
Mm-mm.
and the fly thing?
Mm-mm.
I thought that whole thing was there designed to kind of like freak people out.
A little
So,
bit, but I mean the whole thing was just basically like one-upsmanship spectacle, right?
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Versus the first one, which did actually have sort of like you can talk about those elements as being like kind of horror, but the actual pacing and delivery, the setup, the mood that it creates in a lot of places is actually a little bit more horror than
Okay. All right. I
in the
won't
first
split
one.
hairs on it.
Well, I mean, I'm wrong.
Yeah, I just
It's
didn't really
not.
get that vibe from it.
No,
So, I mean, we used to watch that like fucking Christmas at Scout Camp, you know. So
love
just
those movies. Yeah,
wait for the time where the lady gets launched to the roof. It was, you
awesome.
know.
I mean, that's. I like both of those movies for very different reasons.
I haven't seen the
Um,
second one since I was a kid.
it's quite genius.
That's
It's
the one in the TV studio, right?
That's correct
Yeah, okay.
with the thinly veiled Donald Trump stand-in.
Oh yeah, it does have him in that,
Hmm.
doesn't it? Yeah.
His name is Daniel Clamp.
Daniel Clamp.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I do remember that now.
Hmm. No, it's I actually enjoy it quite a bit. There are some people that will see this as like over the top. I'm like, yeah, of course it is. Um, and I wouldn't expect a Gremlins movie to be made any other way.
No, not really.
If you took it seriously and tried to make a sequel to that, um, there'd be nothing resonating. It'd be Jaws 2. That's it.
Yeah, it'd be Jaws too.
Be
But
Jaws 2.
actually, now it'd be stupid if they did it now. So they have to do something dumb with it.
Somebody's dying to do it.
I'm
Some
sure it's been
dickhead
pitched
has
about 1,000
fucking.
times. Yeah, I'm sure it's been pitched plenty of times. It's like why?
Hey, well, I mean, the puppets are absolutely part of the charm.
Oh yeah,
Like, there's
I
just no.
I gotta be blunt. I haven't seen that in so long that I couldn't even tell you. I remember there's like, uh, there's the white haired one,
Well, so you have Mohawk in the first one.
Mohawk. There
Yes,
we go. Yeah,
yes.
and he's got to get stuffed in the microwave, right?
No, he's the one that makes it through. He's the one that makes it through to the end, I think. No, actually, no. That's Stripe. Stripe is the one that makes it through to the. He's the last bad guy.
Okay.
He's the one that jumps in the pool at the end,
Okay.
right?
I'm having trouble remembering. I do remember one of them gets stuffed in a microwave.
Pat, one of them gets stuffed in a blender. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, actually, that same thing. Like Goonies has like those same kind of like.
Oh shit! I haven't seen that in ages.
We're talking Spielberg, man. That same kind of like
Yeah.
that middle school horror vibe, you know. And again, that's a hard group to work, right?
Well, you don't get them anymore, man. They don't go to
Mm-mm.
the fucking theaters. So if it ain't on TikTok, they ain't going. So
This is some real old man shit we got going on right now.
it
Huh?
kind of is.
Yeah,
Man. I'm gonna be blunt with you. Like my
I'm not
niece,
stopping you.
my nieces, they go to the theater because my brother-in-law drags them. Okay, but I'm telling you, movies just aren't I like they're just not the cultural thing anymore. Because there's so many of them, and like there's so many other ways to actually spend your time now. So
I guess I don't know. It was just maybe maybe it was just such a special experience to actually go out to the theater with my folks. And
see, I never went with my parents. I only went with my dad like twice. He took
that's what
me
I'm talking
he
about.
took me in. Well, but I went to lots of movies, but never with my dad.
Your
So
mom?
no, she hated the theater.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, no, I had to go with friends. Otherwise, I wasn't
Oh,
going.
okay. Uh,
So yeah, like I used to go with Mike all the time. So to stuff like that.
okay.
So, but then like yeah, my dad he took me to two. He did like Indiana Jones, so we went to go see Lost Crusade, and then I can't remember the other one.
Song of the South.
It was not Song of the South.
My dad took me to Song of the South.
I didn't. I thought that was in the 50s. So yeah,
Sure, it was actually re-released briefly in the 80s,
I
which is how I saw it.
I never. Nope.
I am one of the few people that has seen the actual theatrical version of that film from start to finish.
Nope. Not me. I
It
seen it on
is,
the Disney Channel.
you
So
know, it used to play there
it
too.
used
Yeah,
to play
yeah.
on the Disney Channel all the time.
And I'm going to tell
So
you, it is incredibly inoffensive. It is just the ideas of it that are offensive.
um, Joe, it's been like I'm telling you, it's probably been about 35 years since I've seen
Totally fine.
it. It was on TV. We never owned it. There were only intermittent years in between bankruptcies where we were allowed to have Discovery Channel, the Disney Channel. So
You, that's you use it like a unit of measurement, like from uh, it's like distance. You know,
it kind of was, yeah, it kind of was. So, because my dad would go on pay freezes, and all of a sudden we'd start eating government cheese again.
dude, that's wild. But yeah, that's the take on it. Was the movie going experience felt so it felt so special at the time. I don't know. I don't even think that there's a commensurate experience for that at home, even if you have a nice screen. Like, look, obviously this is something I take seriously, right? And I built
Mhm.
uh, things to make this happen. It's like this is nice, but it is not the same experience, right?
No, I like going to the theater. I've gotten tired of like um well actually I don't really like going to the
You know what I
theater
say? Like,
anymore.
like, are you sure?
I mean, it's better than it used to be. I like it now that you get assigned seats and stuff.
That is true. That's true.
So,
And the seats are
I
far
fucking hate
improved.
the 48 minutes of previews and
That is a problem.
and
Yes,
that's gotten exponentially worse.
that is correct. Yes, yes.
I'm tired of like, oh, there's a stinger at the end of the credits. Stick around. And I'm like, no,
I agree. No,
yeah, no, I'm not
yeah,
doing that. I'm
yeah.
really tired of like 4 hour commitment. That's like two fucking baseball
That's
games, dude.
yes, yes,
So,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
you know, so it's like my afternoon is completely sunk now at this point in time. And when we used to go to a movie, then go do shit, or do shit and then go to a movie, and now it's just like, oh no, we're just going to a movie. And to be fair, the last one that I went was a dumb Star Wars one. But it was still, we had to get there at like what, like 6:40, and that was the last plane of the night, unless you wanted to get out at like 3 a.m.
And I'll tell you this: there was a time in my life when that would have been great,
Yeah, I'm
but
not there
I
anymore.
have not been there for quite some time. I will tell you that.
No.
No, you're absolutely right on a bunch of that stuff here. The the sweet spot. I know this sounds fucking crazy, but back in say 1985 or so, right? The target was 100 minutes,
Yeah,
and you targeted 100 minutes because,
turnover times.
well, not just turnover times, but Also, when it plays on TV, it's 2 hours,
Oh,
but
right,
they're
yeah,
putting the commercials
with
in,
commercials in.
right? So they're not having to like delete shit or move things around or make it take two
But it
hours and
took
30 minutes.
forever for things to get to TV back then. It took
Yes.
years because you had to go through the movie cycle, which was much longer than it is now. I mean, shit would play in the theater all fucking summer.
Shit
So
would get held over.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So and then you were waiting a good 6 to 8 months before it showed up on beta or VHS, and then it was only at the rental center. You couldn't buy it yet.
That's correct.
So and then you had to go buy it, and then it might show up on TV like
Uh,
2 years later.
hold on. Okay. Now there was an intermediate step in there, right?
Cable, if you had cable.
The home box office.
I did. We never had the HBO. We were way too broke for that.
Nor did I. However, um, say for example, in the 80s and 90s, if you had, say, one of those gigantic satellite dishes, as we've
Yeah,
so
we were.
referenced, that had HBO West and East and Cinemax West and East and all these
Yeah.
other things, they would get the new releases just after VHS, right? Sometimes simultaneously, but
I only knew
it's
one guy who had that,
but
and we weren't allowed to watch TV at his house,
right there you go.
as you know.
But yeah, that being said, like anybody that had HBO stuff like that, you could get those things a little bit early. Then it would come to TV,
Yeah,
and you're right. That is like 2.5 years later.
it was a while, and
Yeah.
then the thing is, you had to go to the Sunday paper and pull out the movie list for the TV guide to see if it was actually out,
Yes.
and then it would show you the times that it would play that week. You
That
remember
is
that
correct.
skit?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I do not miss that. So
That little booklet. That little booklet, man. That people just don't know.
well, we never paid for it. We just get it with the paper on Sunday.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I'm not talking about the guide. Right?
Oh,
We're not.
okay.
We're not paying for that piece of shit. No, there was a. We called it the TV guide.
It was called the TV guide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it still took forever, and then like some of them never came out on television either. Because they'd have to be associated with whatever studio was actually owning that. So if it was like a Paramount film, you weren't going to see it anywhere that wasn't ABC. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, some of that started to change with like TBS and stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's once cable started breaking it
Yeah,
open after
yeah.
a little bit. Um, yeah, but that was different times, man. So, and that's why you go to the theater. You go to the theater twice to see a good movie. So, during the
Oh yeah,
summer, yeah,
yeah.
because you knew you weren't going to be able to see it again for a while. Or that's why everybody had a Blockbuster membership. So, I mean, we used to go, and so did you. You used to go every fucking week and rent a couple of movies.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that was I do. I mean, this is the thing is that was. I'm not gonna lie. I actually there's a part of that time that I actually do appreciate. There was something to it that I actually um, I don't know why. It's the exact opposite of what everyone thinks they want. But there's this version of things where having some of your choices restricted, right, sort of actually gets you to make decisions faster or make you want to see things more or build anticipation.
Hmm.
There's just this thing of you know, if you went to any restaurant and it had all the restaurants in the states items on the menu.
That's why you don't trust restaurants that have booklets.
There's one uh there's one that has a booklet that I'll give some respect to.
The family Mexican restaurant.
Uh-uh.
Oh,
Well, no, that's okay. Those are different because you order by number, and that's because you want.
yeah.
It's a question of how many burritos, tacos, and enchiladas, and in what combination.
Right. They
Like,
put all the factorial combinations.
that is correct. So you have to say in those places, what do you order? I want the 79 with red sauce,
Right.
right? And then the place that has a big ass menu but has good food is the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh wow, I haven't been there in so long.
That's true because it made
I
me
haven't been there
mad,
in a
but
long time. I think we went up there. I think when I was working on my PhD, when our last class, we went up to Denver. There's a cheesecake factory downtown that we went to. So that was a good 10 years ago.
At least, right?
Well, it was when I
Yeah.
was still doing my classwork. Yeah. So and it was still pretty good.
No, it's fine. I mean, you
Yeah.
wouldn't expect a place with a menu like that to actually have that much good stuff,
But that was
but
10 years ago. I don't know,
I've heard
man.
it's still
Yeah.
good. But I'm not traveling out of my city to go get it.
No, I don't know.
They would have to open one
I'm
up.
surprised there isn't one here. Come to think of it.
Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the rules on it. Maybe there's just maybe they have like a dipstick that says there's just too much like libertarianism,
It's
parts per million where you live for us
like
to open
poison.
them. Yeah, it'll make the cheesecake go bad,
Right, yeah,
which is why they
exactly.
have one in Boulder. And
They do have one in Boulder. Yeah.
did you see what happened in Boulder
I
today?
kind of saw it, but I didn't see like I was just doom scrolling on the turlet. So
Oh my God!
did anybody die?
Yes.
Oh, okay. See that when I had seen it, they said that minor injuries. So I was like, guys throwing Molotov cocktails and minor injuries. Either he's bad aim or there weren't that many people there. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh well. So what's his deal? Is he like trans guy or something? Or
Free Palestine.
oh, he's a Palestine guy.
Yep. It turns out he is an Egyptian national who has
Is he going to school at Boulder?
no.
Oh,
He overstayed his visa. He's not supposed to be here. Came out there on the walk day for solidarity for the um, yeah for the hostages from
in Boulder?
yeah.
Wow, I'm kind of surprised they had that in Boulder.
As was I.
Yeah.
I would expected that to be a Palestinian
Boulder
Mecca.
didn't really strike me as a place that has that many Jews in
I think
it.
if it's going to be anywhere, that's one place, and then in the mountains,
Yeah, not so much there either. Yeah.
like there are ski Jews in there.
They're all in Aspen. Yeah.
Correct.
They don't live there.
They own property there.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Ski Jews.
That's what they do. Don't don't be afraid of who you are. It's okay. But yeah, so that's that. That would be one of the places I think they go.
Yeah, I wouldn't see Boulder as being a place that would be. I think that would be a very pro-Palestine place. So
yeah,
I
and
mean, lived there for 3 fucking years. So
but it's a different crowd. It's not. It's not. It's Boulder. I mean, there's no two ways
it's
around it. It's
fine.
Boulder.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were having a solidarity walk for the hostages. Um,
So where did it happen? Did it happen on the mall?
I think that's what they said. I think they said
Okay.
it was
Rural Street.
there or near there, right?
Okay.
All I saw was this park, and
Hmm.
there were fires and all this other shit. And yeah, this dude, of course, was yelling "Free Palestine," and the cops got him. And
Oh,
um,
so they got him.
yep,
Oh, that's good.
yep,
Go to prison.
that's correct.
Bye, buddy.
Yep. We also had an event our at North Middle School.
Here in town?
Yes, that made the paper.
We still have North Middle School? I thought it was
I was
closed.
surprised as you were, and they made the national news because they had a walkout about trans something or other. It
For
was
middle
fucking dumb.
schoolers?
Yes, dude. This is,
Okay.
buddy. I mean, this is the thing. People were acting all disgusted about this. I remember. This is the fucking. You know what? You might remember this. Okay, so when I was in when I was going to middle school here, right? We had a there was a very popular student who died while he was skateboarding.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, he was,
Joe.
he was a friend of mine.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Remember
Right
that?
over here. Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know? Did you know him and his sister? Or
I knew his sister too.
okay. All
She
right.
was
Crystal.
younger though.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, yeah. I didn't know her very well. So
Well, so anyway, they let them go for that. The student. They said anybody could go to this memorial service if they wanted to,
Mhm.
and
He
half
died
the
when I was in middle school.
I was I was in middle school.
Huh.
Well, you
Oh
guys,
yeah, we were
wait a
there till
second.
we were ninth grade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that must have been. Yeah, that must
must
have
have been
been.
that year.
Okay, I must have
Yeah,
been 7. You must have been 9 because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Because he
Um.
was in my grade, so
Yeah, I think his
he
sister.
was.
Yeah, I think
His
his sister
sister
was
was
in
in your
8th.
grade. Yeah.
No, he was. She was 1 year ahead of us.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the thing. And like half the school went, but half the
Uh-huh.
school did not know this kid.
No,
A lot of people just walked out
but the
because.
memorial was across the street.
Well, I understand
Yeah.
that, but that's what I'm saying here is I don't think there's really that much of a movement over there at North Middle School.
Oh yeah.
I think if you have the chance to
When did
walk in,
this fucking happen?
2 days ago,
How's that possible? Like the middle D11 school's been out for 2 weeks.
they just reported on it like two
Weird.
days ago.
It must not be the radar students then.
All right, give me a second because you're
Yeah,
right.
that's
That seems a
interesting.
little bit crazy, but
Well, I guess it has been two. Yeah, it's been. Uh, how long have I been out? Oh my god.
there you
I
go.
guess it's been a week. It's been a week. So they got out Friday before last. So if this happened last Tuesday, that's weird. The other thing is I think North is actually an alternative school.
Okay.
I don't think it's actually in the D11 system.
Oh no. Okay, so this is just sort of late reporting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
if
it's
it
the
happened during that
14th,
week,
May
if
14th.
okay,
Yeah.
so if it happened during that week
Yeah. Of
where they're getting ready to get out, I totally, yeah, I buy your argument. It's like,
course.
oh shit, we're gonna have a fucking, yeah, yeah, let's get out of
Nobody
here.
gives a fuck. Yeah, it has something to do with quote unquote the ruling about like whether or not parents had to be identified with trans stuff, which fortunately the governor did overrule when it came to signing that stupid thing.
Dude, he's been firing off the veto pen like crazy the last 2 weeks. Have you seen some of the
That
other
was
shit he shot
smart.
down? He shot that down. He shot down the rent control one.
Shut up! There was rent
It
control on
was
the
rent
ballot,
control. Yeah, that the House and the Senate
and I
passed
wasn't
him,
on board with
and he
this.
fucking shot it down. Yeah. He was like, we don't do that here. Yeah.
Who proposed rent control?
So it didn't really have to do with like someone proposing rent control. It was a ban on algorithms like Zillow that predict rental prices. Yeah.
Oh, why?
So and they,
But
so the reason, the thinking behind this is, oh, landlords don't compete enough because they're all owned by Blackwater, kind of thing, which is not true, but or BlackRock, whatever, which is not true. But this is allowing landlords to basically rig prices, and so we should ban these algorithms in the state. And Jared's like, no. Yeah.
wait a minute. Okay, so and he's saying that basically by having access to Zillow
Mhm.
and being able to just look at comparative because didn't the way that
Mhm.
people used to just do it before was look at what
But look at the MLS, yeah,
right.
right.
I don't see this as really solving the problem.
Well, apparently the House and the Senate thought it was, and so he was like, no, it doesn't. So it's like, I don't see a problem here.
I will say, I mean, we do have um, Colorado does have some problems when it comes to uh, when it does come to housing and rent prices.
It does,
But I
but
don't know how you fix it.
you fix it by building more of those things. So
All right.
yeah, that's pretty easy actually.
Well, and
So
I guess the other component here is we're not alone in that. That seems to be a nationwide problem.
it depends on where you go. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's places that have become ridiculously affordable. It's just like nobody wants to move to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And it's like, okay, well, there's jobs there and cheap apartments. So, I'm sorry, it's not fucking Manhattan.
Few things are,
Correct.
and I do understand that. Um,
Yeah. Actually, in terms of affordability, the state's gotten better over the last 2 years compared to other places. Like Texas is getting bad, California is bad, New York is bad. Anything northeast of New York is bad. So until you get to Maine, which might as well be Canada. So
I think I saw
Florida is
that.
bad.
I think I saw that Connecticut was particularly bad.
Connecticut is awful. You can't build a fucking Shake Shack. I mean, you can't build a lemonade stand in Connecticut.
I saw something that basically said like it was something to the tune of like 66% of people that move to Connecticut now leave within a year because
Oh,
they're priced out.
really?
Yeah, because there were a few places. It was basically looking at the it was that list of where people are moving to and where they're moving
Yeah,
from, and I think Connecticut was on there where yeah, it is so expensive there,
yeah.
and they
Connecticut's
don't
pretty
want
bad.
you.
No, no, you're not from here. These parts here, so you know.
All right, fine. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Okay.
I get it. Uh, I'm well aware of what you people do and who you are. I understand.
Yeah.
You guys are keeping it real fucking white up there. I get it. And they are. And they have the things that come along with it.
Yeah, we don't want no skiing Jews around here,
That
dude.
I think they respect money, Patrick. I think that's the thing is I think they have a I think their correlation is pretty much that money is what separates them from lawlessness.
Maybe. I don't know, man. You get out into some of those places, even like where I was in Massachusetts last year, it was like that's $1 million fucking dump. You know, looking at that house, and it's just like I wouldn't want to be your roofer. I wouldn't want to actually have to replace any of your windows. I wouldn't want to do any of those things. You've got like 9 cars parked in front of this thing. You've got a family here who, has just been here forever. You got $1 million house right in this downtown part of Salem here. And, it's just like fucking sell it. You're just sitting there, you're just putting way too little butter over way too much bread, man. So,
It's a weird thing when you talk about historical stuff like this.
it is a weird
Um,
thing. You see it with people downtown here, man. I mean, you see like I was just down there last week and just driving by the sleek CC neighborhood is just it's kind of eye opening, man. Because I mean, you got the Millionaires Row right there, on the other side on Cascade.
oh
All
yeah,
right, and
yeah.
those houses there, fine. All right, we know those guys are all psychiatrists and doctors and fucking city council members or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, but then on the other side, where you'll have like 5 really nice houses, and then this one that is just like falling down, But you just know that that house has been in that family for like so long,
Yeah.
but that family has done nothing but spawn a long line of meth heads. so, but they got a paid for house, and so here we go. It's weird, man.
No, you're right. And across the street, that's where you'll find like, all right, so across the street from those really nice houses, you will find places with 10 apartments.
Oh yeah, you'll find those big houses are all broken up, and they got that fucking,
Yeah.
like the Mickey Mouse scaffolding all over them and stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
they've actually fixed a lot of those. So I hadn't been downtown in probably like a year, and I went down last week, and I was just like, oh okay, this is a little nicer than it used to be. They're actually tearing out Tejon right now, so
To what end?
I don't think they're actually going to have traffic in it anymore, which they should have done fucking 30 years ago.
They're
So
just nixing it as a street?
yeah, they'll turn it into a mall like they did with Pearl Street and 16th Street up in Denver. So yeah, it's way smart.
That's a very city skylines thing to do.
Right. I think it's in the
Uh,
plazas and promenades, fucking DLC.
um,
Yeah.
I don't, I
The
don't really
city's finally upgraded their account, man.
I don't really see that happening in real life all that often in terms of
Uh,
um, I feel like people would send you angry letters of like not going to have streets anymore. So how am I supposed to get here, here, and here? This is an inconvenience to dozens of us, and uh, to actually rip all that out and basically, what would you say? Would you be able to put in 3 times the homes and businesses?
well, no, they're not going to put any new businesses in there.
It's just homes.
No, it's just a street that you'd walk down rather than drive down.
Oh, that's useless.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think it makes downtown a lot nicer. So, oh,
Ugh.
oh, oh.
Patrick, that is wasted real estate for those of us that are trying to
Oh, right.
maximize.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It doesn't fit within your grid pattern. Got it. Yeah.
That's my problem. Is yes,
Yeah.
you do have a grid pattern down there, and that sort of fucks it up.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know when the last time you've been down there, but there are a shitload more apartments down there than there used to be.
Are they really?
A fucking shitload, especially about you get it south of about like the Plaza, the Rockies, over by the police station. It is just all like these little like fancy ass condos now and stuff.
Are they really?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
everywhere. Yeah. So I finally knocked down a bunch of them bullshit houses back there. So
Is that so? Okay. Well, hey, man. If any place around here needs high density
that
residential,
would be there.
that would be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um,
But see, the funny thing is that there's not that many jobs downtown. That's just not where most people in this town work. So, most people work up north, okay, like you used to.
yeah.
They got all the huge like T-Mobile industrial complexes and stuff. There's a bunch of them up there too now, man. So, and then
Or they work down there.
or they work down on Powers.
Yeah.
So, have you? I mean, I don't know. It's probably been a little bit, but if you've driven down to the airport lately, that whole corridor is nothing but factories now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
giant.
Yeah.
So giant factories down there.
Well, the Amazon processing center, yeah,
Well,
too.
that one too. That was probably the
Yeah.
furthest south one, but I haven't been south of that in a long time either. So who knows what the fuck is out there at this point in time?
Yeah, not too many jobs this way. No,
No,
jobs do not go here.
people go there.
Yes, people
Yes,
go here. They steal the jobs in here.
they steal which jobs?
Those people in my brother's neighborhood
Oh,
are stealing Spring's jobs.
I don't care.
No, we cut them off.
Why?
These are Spring's jobs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. We don't let your kind in here.
Well, actually, I'll say this too. There's a lot of it that it doesn't matter if you live downtown when you're working on your laptop anyway.
No, it doesn't.
So and I think that I'm hoping that's a solution for a lot of people. I hope that as time goes on, the more things that we realize you can do over a computer, they do. There is,
Yeah, I hope so, but I don't know, man. There's a lot of resistance to that now too. So, um, like there's a lot of companies who they did that and then they got really scorched for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
So, not including the federal government. So,
As they should. They're the ones that should be monitoring us more than anyone else, right? They should have been. None of this crap should have been pointed out in the first place because they should have been on top of it.
yeah, but I just don't know if that's. I think that the jobs that are well suited to remote work have probably been sussed out of the system right now. So, and then like my brother-in-law, he does IT,
Yeah,
and he's bona fide like coding genius, blah 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 and stuff. And he's got no problem finding an online job,
yeah, yeah.
and stuff like that. But like, we've had, I mean, I've had students who are like, well, I want to work remote. And it's like, what do you want to do? It's like, well, I don't want to do marketing. It's like, oh. So how about customer service? No, I don't really want to do that either. Okay, can you code? No, no. Okay. You know.
Drive a forklift?
Yeah, you drive a forklift virtually. So there's a few things that just don't quite work for that. You know.
No, I understand, but I think I actually think that some of that's going to be. Um, I think that market's still going to surge because I
It's
think there's
possible.
because
What kind of jobs would they be, though?
that's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That's the ticker on this, right? This is sort of the AI thing, right? I have said this before. I want to say it again. It's a technological revolution. It is going to create more jobs than it's
It
going to
will.
destroy. But as to what those jobs are, if I fucking knew what they were, I'd have all the money in the world.
You're right. Yeah, you'd be on top of it.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where that one's going either. I've been reading a lot about AI lately.
Have you seen the farms and farms of power and space that they
Yeah,
are taking to build these
yeah,
things?
it is.
This is not a flash in the pan. They are betting the fucking farm on this, man.
Well, yeah, and they're trying to build in new power systems and everything for
Yeah.
some of those, which is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. So that's
You, you,
I don't know. Let me see. Yes, I do. But that's to me that's the sign that the investments are there. It is not going away. People they have implementations that they want to use, and it
yeah,
is going to be beyond just because this is look. This is the kind of stuff here that people like Google have to be on top of this because it's the kind of thing that can actually kill their search engine
I'm
business.
surprised that it's not active. I don't know. I don't know how to track Google's metrics and stuff like that, but
Nor do I.
I would be surprised if all the different various forms of AI out there have been just absolutely eating like Google and Bing's lunch lately.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
Because
they have to be on top.
I've even gotten in the habit of going to Grok
Yeah.
to Google things now.
That's
Because
that's
yeah,
the that's the tricky thing. You still call it Googling, but you do it somewhere else.
right, yeah. Well, I Google it on Grok.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you know.
You know, you can still blow your nose on a non-Kleenex tissue. Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't have to use all paper towel.
Right, right.
So, I mean, I can see a lot of like, there's going to be a lot of busy work that it's going to knock out of the system. Because I can see it already, but I mean, a lot of that, yeah. Unfortunately, it's heading, it's a freight train heading right for a lot of the creative arts out there. Um, like I, I think if you write for Business Insider, your days are numbered, buddy. So,
I'm and to what number is double digits, maybe triple?
we
I don't
might be,
know.
yeah, getting down to double digits. Yeah.
Now I'll say this,
So
okay? You and I both know this. In a lot of ways, AI still writes like shit.
it
Um,
does. But it gets you. So, like, when I Google things, I'm looking for things where I can get 80 to 90% of the way there.
there you go.
It totally does that. Okay. Now, there have been a few times where, and depending on which one I use, because I've been using ChatGPT, Grok, and Gemini, they all have their strengths and
This
weaknesses.
is true.
You
Yeah.
know, I think like Grok is my favorite right now because I signed up for like whatever beta is or something, and so I get free use on that.
Oh, okay,
Um,
cool.
but then the other ones are somewhat limited. But then, actually, I don't think Gemini is. So, but ChatGPT is.
Yeah, you're right.
But they'll get you pretty close to where you want to go. It's just it's hard to verify an answer as being correct on all three of them. Still, now you can say, "Hey, where did you find this?" And it'll point you, and it's like, okay, that's legit. But that's an extra step in the process. So I've gotten to the point where I use my prompts now as like cite your sources, buddy. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? And it's not just that. It is not just cite your sources. You should also tell it ahead of time. Do not use this, or this as a reference.
Oh, I haven't asked it to do that yet.
I
That's a
have
good idea.
always told it to never use Reddit as a reference. No, absolutely
That's
not.
a good. That's good.
Because it
Yeah.
pulls a lot of bullshit from Reddit, and Reddit is
It's
famously,
fucking dog shit, man.
yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people take it as gospel. That's the shit where people love to like they'll cite Reddit. Like, are you fucking nuts?
Oh no, I've had students try and do that. I was like, this is not a citable source.
No,
So no,
no, and a lot of those places will run to that shit. So I'll tell them not to do this in advance.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'll have to check that. So in the future, that's a good tip.
but you're right. If you're talking about something that, again, if you can get this to do 85% of the heavy lifting,
Hmm.
great. Then that means that the 15% that's meaningful belongs to you.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you this, it may get to 90%, 95%, but it's still going to need that 5% to make something actually proper. I mean, I work with this crap,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can see where it's going. And the problem here, I can tell you, one of the biggest problems here is that it is still being led, it's still being trained by humans,
Yeah, and
and
so
that's part of the problem.
I was reading about that the other day, and it was saying that they've done like a couple of these validation studies on like so they'll ask it various questions and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and they're finding that as it goes through more and more iterations over the last couple of months, it's drawing more information from the same smaller and smaller batch of sources out there because. Of course, if
yes,
it does it once, it gets baked into the algorithm as like, oh, okay, that's a good one. Go back to that next time you get asked a question like this. And so, I did see some guys who were actually talking about like, like eventually there's going to be a knowledge collapse within it. You know?
I think it's a good way to say it. Yeah,
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 where it's
yeah.
just like, all right, so eventually we're going to have to train it to get off of like that stuff and actually seek out and validate new information. So, but
Correct.
this guy was going a little bit over my head on this, so I was like, okay, I get the idea. I think,
Oh no,
yeah,
no, no, and that's the cool thing about it is that whenever that happens, that will be the next wave of jobs it creates.
probably,
Versus, well, for starters, but it will also, from when it develops, it will also open up new jobs because there are third. Here's the tricky thing for me is this is where I can't place it is there are jobs that are going to use this that will do that AI will do 85%
mm,
of what they need to do, which will launch their business because it's taking care of that much on
yeah,
the
sure,
back end,
yeah,
right? And that's going to create new opportunities, and it will. I think it's going to be like we had before that shifting middle class, where for those 5 years, if you were a web developer, you were eating Chinese every night,
right.
and uh, then your dude in the Czech Republic that was doing that for you was eating Czech Chinese every night.
Yeah.
Um,
And then he said, "Why do I need you?"
and then websites became like just click and drag and hit
Yeah,
button to make website, and it looks good,
yeah,
and they were no longer needed.
yeah. It's possible, man. I don't know. I mean, I see it like there are certain places in the economy where I would not want to be sitting right now.
No,
So writing for
no,
Business Insider is like your number one do for Shark Attack.
I would
You
not.
know,
Yeah, I would not want to be anywhere in the creative industry
I
right
would not
now.
want to be in a creative industry. I would
No,
not want to be like a translator. So because it fucking crushes that shit.
it does and it doesn't.
So
It
yeah,
that they're working on it, but it's still some of it is good. Some
yeah,
of it is very good,
yeah, yeah.
but
The other thing is like I've been using it for data analysis, and it is great at it. It is fucking great. And so if you went out and spent money on a data analytics fucking, degree, you are in a bad spot, buddy. Because this thing, I mean, I can feed like just about any format into it. So I can do like an HTML or I can do like even a comma delimited,
oh, CSV,
CSV, thank you. Or I
comma
can
separated
kind of
values. Oh
separated.
yeah,
I can do a CSV file, or I can do a straight up Excel file. It's just munch it down, and I just ask it questions like, "Hey, can you run this?" Just like, fuck yeah,
yeah. It's not.
man.
That's there's a.
And I was like, "Can you write up the results for this?" Yes.
You're right. There is that thing where you expect like it's not like defragging. You put that stuff in there and you're like, all right, we'll come back in like an hour, right? It has to
Oh
compile
no,
this
it gets
answer.
like three spins on the circular thing, and then you're good, man. So
Sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes you are embarrassed about the question then because of how quickly it kicks it out. Like,
yeah,
oh shit, this was hard for me,
right.
but you didn't even need to think about it.
You didn't even need to work on it.
Right,
Yeah, no, it's
right.
pretty bananas, man. So, and I've been using it for a lot of things. Like, I wouldn't want to be a reporter. I wouldn't want to be a writer. Like, if I was working in like a marketing department, and I was in charge of writing their press releases. I'd be looking for a new job. So, I mean,
Well, that's
dude, you know
I'm.
how much content I see on fucking YouTube that I can tell is now generated by AI.
Oh Jesus Christ! How do
And it's not like okay, it's not like the guy, all right,
no,
is animated stuff like that.
no.
But you can tell the visuals, the graphics, the script, so the thumbnail, the music are all generated by AI. So, and
Oh,
it's like all you did was read the cards, dude.
oh, the voiceover too.
Yeah. Well, okay, so some of those are easier to identify than
Check out
others.
what happened in Yugoslavia
Yeah,
this
this
week.
weekend. Yeah.
This is crazy. There's there you've heard that
I've
voice.
there's two of them. There's a man voice and a female voice that I just as soon as I hear it's like nope.
Yeah, and it's funny because you and I have sort of like talked about the way that I have never been. It just this past week, the past couple of weeks, with the shit show of like the things like the Jake Tapper stuff, right? Where there are so many
I'm,
fucking losers,
I'm
right?
kind of tempted to get his book. I just don't want to pay for it.
I don't want to pay for it either, and I don't like him either.
I don't like him at all.
I don't want to pay for anything with his name on it. But the fact that this thing is going around and there's still so many of these stalwarts that are saying, like, I stand by what I said. He was rock solid all the way through. Bill Clinton just did that. And this is
Yeah,
the
I'm
trick
not
here
surprised by that.
is
Oh my
the
God, Bill Clinton lied to you? Really? Wow.
not be Bill Clinton, man. Check him for green
Yeah,
blood.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Deep link sideways.
yeah, yeah, and this I have never been more convinced that traditional media is absolutely on its
It's done, man.
last legs. Nobody gives a fuck. And this
Nobody,
is, yeah.
Jeff, nobody under the age of like me watches it. Nobody.
Well, okay, because I'm younger than you. Do I watch it?
Do you watch it?
I don't even pay for the channels what it would be on.
Yeah, so no.
No,
Okay, yeah. I
right.
think your brother watches it. He's a little bit younger than me, but we'll call it okay. So,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
That's true.
My mom watches it
She's older, yes.
substantially, yes.
But Patrick, she is closer to the end than the beginning.
Very much so. So, but I mean,
Much like my mother.
well, we'll see, man. So, I don't know. My mom's got a few more years. So,
I know,
yeah.
but they are closer to the end
They are
than the
definitely
beginning.
close to the end. I think I'm closer to the end than I am at the beginning now. Just
Um,
barely. Probably just barely.
well, according to the average life expectancy, you're a little bit over. I think it's down to like 78.
See, but there's a problem with that statistic. Have you ever heard this?
Which one?
The,
What's the problem?
so the problem is that there's multimodal data. Okay, you understand multimodal is where there's clusters within it. Okay, so mean, median, and mode is most occurring, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you get multimodal data. All right, and so if you take the average for life expectancy
Yeah.
amongst men, you come up with like 77 or something, 76
Right.
or something like that. But if you bisect that data, all right, if you make it past like 22, okay, you're probably going to make it to 85.
But that's not how you calculate.
That's not how you calculate it, but that's important to know.
No, Patrick. Well, you're right because I mean it's sort of like the tachometer. It's got your coil has a green line and a red line, right?
Right.
And it's basically like if you pass this line, you're okay.
You're okay.
But you're right. You're right. Those things that absolutely skew
Yeah, yeah.
things downward. Also, I mean, this is the other thing is I can ask you other questions that will make a difference. I can say, Patrick, are you a man? You would say yes. I'm like, okay, good. Are you a person of color? Now, when I say of color, I mean everything except Asian. Are you a person of color? If you say yes, then I can now quote different obesity statistics
Yeah, you
that
can.
are significantly different, especially if you're a woman, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the actual just plonk it down and say like 77, yes, there's a problem. But generally speaking, I think that's a pretty safe range to say. Um,
I think it's low. So
I think it's in
I
the
think it's
family,
low.
right? I think
Yeah.
that's a good area to shoot for if you want. But if you're saying that's low, then all right, you're maybe at the halfway point.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Of course, that being said, we are never one car accident away from.
You mean we are always one car accident?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. So there is that.
Yeah. I don't know. There's been a couple there's been a few chart fouls on the Twitter lately. So
Chart fouls.
yes, people who manipulate data.
Oh,
So yeah,
oh,
they have fucked up charts or
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So like I've heard that one, the age differential and how people in Europe have higher, like lifespans than we do in the United States. It's actually not true. So,
People in Japan do,
people in Japan do, but not if you actually control for all the other mitigating factors that you would in the United States, like income. So,
but that's right. What you're going to eventually find it's pretty similar everywhere,
it is pretty similar
except
everywhere.
there are some continents where it's not.
There are some continents where it's not, but again, that's all due to infant mortality. And like in Africa in particular, what's the most common cause of death, in amongst young men?
Probably AIDS,
No, not even close.
starvation,
No,
malnutrition.
no.
All right, hold on.
Most common cause of death happens every day. So,
Car accidents?
no, you're thinking along the right lines, though. And no, it's not like war.
Okay, well there goes my other answer.
Drowning
Oh, in Africa?
in Africa,
Where?
everywhere. There's rivers everywhere. Everybody swims in rivers. And if you don't learn how to swim pretty early,
You die.
you add to the statistics.
Water is very unforgiving.
Correct. So, you know, and the same thing is true in the United States. If you look at the difference between urban and rural communities, all right, you can actually bisect the United States, and you can make a pretty, like pretty stark conclusions about like the likelihood of dying young in the South. So as opposed to the North, you know why that is? Is because people in the South have fucking swimming pools. So
That is true.
yeah,
Yeah, that is true.
so
Which, I mean, to be fair, it's not that common, but
it's enough
it
to
ain't
tip
uncommon
it's
either.
it's enough to tip the scales, and so
Yeah.
and that's why like in a lot of those places, you can look at a lot of different things and pull a lot of different conclusions from, but you're missing kind of the point. And in some of those is like, yeah, if I take a look at Alabama, and Alabama's like average lifespan for a man is like 72, and Massachusetts is 78, you wouldn't think to look at swimming pools, but that's exactly what it is. Because when do swimming pools kill you, Jeff?
When you're young.
Yeah, when
you
you're
can't swim.
six.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
think about what that does to the average. It pulls it way down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't kill you when you're 30. Well, I guess it can.
A couple
But,
guys
yeah,
do.
a couple guys do.
A
Yeah,
couple guys
yeah.
do. So,
You get drunk enough, yeah.
yeah, I said a couple guys, crush a case of like Natty Lights and go in the water and don't come up. That does happen,
Exactly.
but not as much as the gate gets left open and
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just the dog that's in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why? Because the dog will get out.
The dog will get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that's not to say, look, there are plenty of New England areas that do have pools,
Sure.
but it's not Florida.
it's not what you do every afternoon.
Right. It
Yeah.
is not Texas. It is not
Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah, probably a big one.
Yeah, the lake here down in Pueblo, it murdered its first few people already this year. So
Did they? Oh, that's rough.
dude, that I'm telling you, that lake is fucking dangerous, dude. So it's cold, so people get into it and they get hypothermia and they fucking die. So
Well, it doesn't warm up until like, well, I would say now, but it's still fucking cold. out.
I would guess it would be like more like October.
Joke about that shit.
It warms up as soon as it starts to snow again, man. Yeah. So
I'm not convinced. I'm really not convinced that we're not due for one more snowstorm, because we usually do get
it's
one.
June.
We usually get one crazy one in May or June.
We just had one 2 weeks ago. So
We did.
I don't know, man. I think we might be over the hump. So, but it has been wet as fuck lately.
Really crazy. And I think you and I are both the same. Neither of us ever mind that. That's
I love it.
That's
Helps me
well
sleep.
documented. That's when we do our best sleeping.
Absolutely.
Um, No, that's true, and yeah, these are some bizarre statistics, and there are some healthier countries than ours.
There
Um,
are,
we are still very fat. We still need to do something about that.
I guess, but
And certain groups are worse off than others.
yeah,
This is absolutely true.
yeah. I'm not gonna. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna do that one by race. I do it by zip code. So I mean, there's just
Yeah, but
some.
here's the problem: is a lot of those are in the same overlapping zip
I'm
codes.
telling you, you can't tell the difference between the two of them, so you can't make a conclusion about either one. So
I get it.
yeah.
I get it.
But I would say that like zip code is probably a little bit more indicative on that because it has to do with the concentration of fucking fast food joints yeah,
Uh-huh.
in one area. So I saw another one that was kind of funny. It was actually predicting your weight based upon how far you live from a Whole Foods.
Go on. What did it show?
Well, what do you think? So,
Was Whole Foods an indicator of lower weight?
yes, it was.
Well,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, it actually was.
actually, I would see. To tell you the truth, I would think that the placement of Whole Foods
Hmm.
would be. I would imagine that corporate placement of those things probably did the research in reverse and basically plonked it in those areas.
Possibly.
That would make way more sense
Yeah,
because whatever statistics you're looking for, that the crossover of people that would shop at that place are probably on average in better shape. So you want to hit that spot there
possibly. Yeah.
because I can tell you places where Whole Foods wouldn't do well.
Yeah, Alabama.
I wasn't going to do the whole state, but you're
Sure.
right.
Yeah, parts of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, Mississippi. Yes,
Mississippi.
I think
Yeah,
Mississippi is the fattest state.
I think it is. Florida's up there too, though, man. So
Texas is up there.
Texas is up to, dude. Yeah, no, and so the time that I spent in Texas, I can tell you that that completely depends on the part of Texas that you're
You
in.
are absolutely true. Absolutely true.
So there are parts of Texas that are probably the fattest places in the nation. So
Houston's one of
Houston
them.
is definitely one of them. I was definitely thinking of that one.
They make them big down there.
Yeah.
Total, and I get it. It doesn't make it right. And I understand. Houston had two things. It was big, and it was, I believe, it was the nation's leader in DUIs. Why? Because you
Houston
cannot
is?
walk
Yeah,
anywhere.
no, you can't walk in. It's not a walkable city.
It's you're right. It's an affront to walking. It is. It like spits on walking. It disregards it completely. It
Yeah,
hates it.
yeah.
Um, what was the other one I saw? The train people were out in force this week.
Oh Lord.
Uh, because they were speaking of chart fouls was there's this map that they're throwing around, Europeans are throwing around right now, where they throw out the United States, and there's like four little glowing bulbs, and it
Okay.
is places in the US that have a subway.
Places in the U.S. that have a subway. Let's see: Boston, New York,
Uh-huh.
D.C., uh, Chicago,
Yeah, Northern
L.A.
Illinois. Uh-huh.
Yeah, L.A. Yeah, I think that's
South.
it. Maybe Atlanta,
No, 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 no. South of LA.
San Diego,
Well, basically SoCal. That area, the Bay Area, that.
the Bay Area.
I believe so, yeah.
They have a subway in San Francisco. I didn't know that.
Somewhere
I
around
thought
there
they had the
does.
BART. Wasn't that
They do have the BART, but somewhere in SoCal, right, where the blip was,
that's
right?
L.A. L.A. definitely has a
No,
subway.
LA does. But that's up there.
L.A.'s in the south of California.
Oh, no, 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 no. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you
I'm
got it
sorry. I'm sorry.
backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, you got it backwards.
No, they have one up there. Somewhere in that area.
Somewhere in the Bay Area, they got
Somewhere in
one.
that area. There's a blip over there
It
in
might be the
NorCal,
BART. I have
right?
no idea.
They weren't counting above ground trains at all.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean that's the only ones that I can think of. I know you don't have any in like any of the South. The only exception would be maybe Atlanta, but I don't think they do.
I don't recall them doing that. And the
I don't
whole.
think there's a single city in Texas that has one. So,
Mm-mm.
I know St. Louis
Nothing
does.
on
St.
that
Louis
list.
has an L.
Didn't
So,
count it.
Yeah, Philadelphia has an L. So,
And Chicago has a lot of elevated train, but they
but they also
also,
have a subway.
yeah,
Yeah. There are parts where it does go underground.
right,
So, yeah.
in the very northern part.
I don't remember. I've never been on it. So,
Well, that's what the map showed,
yeah.
right?
I've ridden the L in Chicago, but I've never ridden
Oh,
the
okay.
subway.
Yeah, so that was their big gotcha. Is like, take a look at this fucking country, and
Fuck off. Just knock it off with that stuff, man. You know? Why don't you pay attention to your own shit? Dude, I've been having it out with some people lately, about this. It's just like, what is your problem, man? Your country has got tons of problems. All right, so like, police your own side first, kid. So-
I look, I get it, and there are certain things where yeah, it's totally okay to throw slings and arrows uh, across the pond and vice versa, right? I can sit there like right now. I know that there are people in Germany and France and England right now that are having serious ethical problems right now, right? Where they are saying, all right, so here's what the numbers show.
Mhm.
This is what mass immigration has done to our countries.
Yeah,
We have an attitude that we want to believe, but when do we hit practicality?
I
Because
think the English have turned the corner on that.
well, Starmer has to, right?
I think yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know, man. I listen to a few guys from England, and they're just not having it anymore.
They're not
So,
having it.
yeah,
They're not the tough things here. They're not that. Finally, they actually started admitting in public, like actually there were grooming gangs, there were rape gangs,
yeah.
and we slipped it under the rug.
I've been seeing that lately. The place that's gone completely off the rails is Scotland. And
The
then,
Scottish people are terrified now.
dude, I have no idea what's wrong with Scotland, man. They are completely off the. I mean, they are so far on the left end of things that you
Crazy,
can't even.
yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And the only place that's worse than Scotland is Ireland.
Ireland is also
And
bananas.
so yeah, there's a few Irish guys, and they just cannot help but talking shit about the United States. It's like, you know what, fuck you, I'm not going to visit your country.
Well,
So
well, and this is, I mean, this is the other part of this is the things that you're going to pick on for. It's like, you know what? I will take that criticism the very second you stop jailing people for saying that.
exactly, yeah, no, and this is like just absolutely bananas. Some of the stuff that's coming out of their legislature there, and I don't know it from stem to stern. I have to go off what I see.
Right,
In some
right.
respects. But if even a portion of what they've been saying is true about that, that's just horrifying. But hey, man, it's your country. If that's the way you guys want to do it, cool.
Right,
So
right.
but keep the rocks on your side of the fence, buddy. So, you know.
Well, you're right. I mean, because there's a lot. It's like, listen, man, you are welcome to throw those rocks, but don't you think you need them on your side of the Atlantic first?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You got some things over there that you guys got to sort out. I don't know, man. I've been talking to some of my German students lately, so and they're they're always succinctly apolitical, you know.
It's a good place to be.
But you can kind of feel it a little bit too, you
That
know.
people want to say
They
certain
want to
things, but
get
they
out.
don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
A couple of them want to get out, and so it's like, well, I appreciate that, man. I can't help you right now, but so
yeah,
because we have our own little issue going on with immigration right now. So
yeah. This is we have finally hit that point where I'm starting to say, like, is this a baby with the bathwater kind of moment? There are some things where um, the the war on Harvard is a weird one to me.
I'm not actually going to defend Harvard on this one, man. I do
I'm
not
not
have a problem with this, but I'm like, so I'm not the free speech like yank that you're or hawk that you are on this,
sure.
and so like the thing about Harvard and a lot of those guys in particular, when Trump decided to take $2 billion away from them and said he was going to redirect it towards trade schools, I was like, take more.
Right.
So yeah, because some of these guys who've had like a good point about this is the reason why. So first of all, it's a prestige thing.
Yeah.
All right. First
Yeah.
and foremost, it's a prestige thing. Um, they had Harvard Business School professor who got stripped of tenure last week, which is almost fucking unheard of. But
What did he do?
this chick has had it coming
Oh,
for
was
like,
that Little Miss Plagiarismo?
no, that's somebody else.
Oh,
So she's still there, but she's no longer the president. So
oh no, that's somebody else.
no, this lady did not plagiarize. She actually invented data from whole cloth. So,
Oh,
which you're
okay,
not allowed to
yeah,
do
I
that.
know her.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and she was an ethics professor. And so, and I've actually used some of her lectures in my classes in the past. So, because she had a bunch of really good TED Talks out there. And I didn't realize she was getting paid like almost $2 million a year. I mean, that is insane for a professor. And then on top of that, she's going around and getting like $50,000 speaking gigs.
Yeah.
I was like, holy fucking shit. And then to turn around and have them say that, okay, we're going to, take $2 billion and everybody's screaming bloody murder about how this is going to stall cancer research for the next 10 years. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, it's fucking not. Look at their goddamn endowment.
It's crazy.
It is
Yeah,
nuts how big that thing is. And it's like, okay, so basically you're pulling down NSF funds along with federal student loan funds. And I don't know how many like students actually pay, like very few at Harvard actually get any kind of like federal support.
Right.
That's
Right.
fair. Okay, but they still maintain eligibility for the system, still participate in the NCAA, so they have some of that going on. Okay, but still, at the same point in time, I mean, so you're bringing in, CCP party princelings who pay full price, so you don't have to dip into your endowment
Right.
to actually help the kid in Southie, who was actually like scribbling on a chalkboard at MIT last week.
Yep.
It turns out that he solved, the problem that took those eggheads 2 years to do it, and he doesn't get a chance because of that. So I was like, yeah, take more.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just come on. Like, and that's the one thing about academics in particular is that there is a tippy top up there, and that's Harvard, that's Yale, that's Princeton, that's probably Stanford.
It's definitely Stanford.
Well, kind of. Stanford's a little bit different because it has this pumping heart of conservative blood in the middle of it, called the Heritage Institute, and so
Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
But it's still,
so
I think it still
or the
benefits from.
Hoover Institute. So, but and the other thing is that Stanford actually, I mean, it still sits next to the University of California system,
Yeah.
so which is different. All right, so it's actually a really good system, but the like so you take those top like 10 schools, maybe 8 schools there and stuff like that. That's the problem. It's just that. All right. I mean, if you go down the street and go to UConn or something like that or UMass, you don't have these fucking problems going on. All right. It's just a handful of schools, that really kind of espouse this. And yeah, we don't need to subsidize them. So yeah, give us the fucking money back.
Columbia, I think is one.
Yeah, but
Sort
Columbia,
of.
but Columbia sits right next to SUNY and CUNY. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's like okay, but Columbia is definitely one of them too. But again, I'm telling you, that's only like 10 schools,
It
and none
is.
of them are
It
going to
is.
go
Yeah.
financial. None of them are in any kind of financial danger. But if you took $2 billion and you split that amongst 200, D2 schools that are struggling across the
Yeah.
country, you
Yeah.
would basically make all of them solvent for the next 10 years. So
It's
you got to be
wild.
fucking shitting me. So
Absolutely
yeah, I
wild.
have
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
sympathy for Harvard on this one. And I think Donald Trump's just like sticking a finger in their eye, because he's a UPenn guy. You know?
I wouldn't. I mean, there's a component of this here where, all right, this is the problem that I have with it is sort of like I do not have. Again, this is from an Asian person,
Right.
right? As an ethnic minority, that is on the far end of their acceptance scale, which I find
It's horrifyingly
ridiculously
bad.
offensive,
Yeah.
right? There's no part of me that says, whatever you've got coming to you, you don't deserve. Okay. But his rationale for this here, in terms of like, because of not policing anti Semitism, I'm like, all right, man,
Eh,
I
yeah.
got it. And that's not a cool thing to have here. I have been very outspoken about those people, right?
Mhm.
But as far as using that as your cudgel, I'm like, all right, well, do it, but I don't know if this is the reason to do it. If this is like the thing that you said right there is that's the reason to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Just skewer them.
As far as the other component here of, I have no problem with basically what Rubio's been saying, where he says like, look, when you come here, you sign this. We interview you, and we ask you if you say this.
Oh yeah,
Right?
about yanking visas.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
And that, I love that because like because when you sign that because when you come out here and then you do this,
Yeah,
that means you either lied to us then or you lied to us now, and either way, that results in get out.
dude, I know 1,000 students who weren't able to get in who would take those spots in a heartbeat.
Fucking
So
no kidding. Yeah,
fuck those
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
If you get in here and if you cause trouble like that, step aside. You obviously blew your chance. Get the fuck out. So I have no sympathy for you at that point in time because I have seen the faces of the thousands of students who are standing behind you who didn't get that visa. So fuck off.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
No, that no problem with here whatsoever. So I'm
Yeah,
like, all right,
I have
got
no
it,
problem
got
with
it.
that.
I think there's a lot of things here within the immigration system here that to me are huge positives and things that needed to be looked over for a long time.
Dude, and how quickly he's been able to do a lot of this shit is just mind bending. So, and I mean, just like saying, he's like, no, we're going to kick you out. And then like 99% of them, so, well, fuck it. I guess I'm going back home then. Is like, why do I wouldn't waste my time, anymore? So it's like, good. Yeah. Get on the phone, use the app, get in line, dude. It's cool. So,
Yeah, well, yeah, and again, the whole thing is like, well, if you leave, right, that means that you can come back under different. The thing that they went through the other day, where they basically said, um, on the interview where it was talking about the presentation, it was like these are asylum seekers, and when they were saying like, actually no, when it came down to it in the courts, um, 90 like it was like 99% do not qualify for that in terms
no,
of
and they've
being
been trying to call themselves economic asylum seekers. And it's like, that just means you're poor. So, okay.
right. We
Yeah,
got that.
we got that. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
We're good. Right.
Yeah.
Try the next guy.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And
It's like, are they going to kill you?
and like the blocked. I mean, there are things that seem so goddamn deliberate now in terms of what was done in terms of grabbing populations and moving them to specific areas. Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is horseshit. This
So,
is clearly putting your thumb on the scale.
so I'm curious as to like who is actually directing that. So I'm curious, and the book hasn't been written. There's no evidence one way or the other yet. Hopefully, someone will do it. But I've heard discussions about this lately about like, well, okay, so when Greg Abbott sent those guys to New York or to Martha's Vineyard, more famously, of course, we know who did that
Right.
because it was basically done as a political stunt. So, but how did they get into Houston in the first place? Okay, you know, and then so they were digging into it, and like the mayor in Denver was one of those guys who's like, yeah, yeah, sanctuary city, come on in. And so there's this thing where it's like, okay, if I get more people in here, but see, the thing about I just don't buy about this is such a long-term strategy that it's dumb. Okay, because I mean, you don't have census count until 2030, so you're not gonna change anything, fundamentally until then.
Well, see, that's the thing is
Yeah.
this is where look, I have a hard time.
And you still have that hard thing about like, okay, if you're not a U.S. citizen, you can't vote in federal elections. I mean, yeah, they say you can't, but not in the numbers where it would actually tip something. I've never seen any evidence for that. Where it was large enough to actually like have an impact on that. But like, there are like municipalities and states where it's okay to vote in municipal and state elections if you're not a citizen. So those ones make sense to me, I guess, if they were actually doing it on purpose. But I just don't know, man. I think they were doing it for the money. So,
Maybe it's for the money, but I
yeah.
can all I can tell you here is there are very specific things where it's like, why are these Haitians being put in this part of Ohio? Why? I mean, the thing
Yeah.
the thing with the 500,000 Venezuelans, right? Like, there's no reason for that. There's a reason that it was revoked, and the fact that you took the liberty to do that in the first place
Mhm.
and
Oh,
just
and they
plop it
put
there.
them on planes too.
Yeah, I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from? The
Yeah.
fact that they fought them, right? The fact that those courts actually said like, well, we want to injunct this. Like, how the fuck can you do that? How the fuck can you do that
Which courts?
It's the same fucking circuit
Is this
of
just recently?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. They actually
Yeah,
lost that one.
I'm not paying any
Um,
attention to that because the Supreme Court's going to rule on that here in a couple
so
of
fucking
weeks.
stupid. It's like, how the fuck can you actually go back on this and say like, okay, so if the last president it was okay for him to do that, and you say now it's okay not to do it to take him out? I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm tired of this shit. I mean,
There's rumblings coming from the court and the people who watch it that they're gonna come down on this shit pretty hard. So
absolutely
yeah,
absurd. I mean,
so
the overstepping, the thing that they tried to do with the tariffs. Did you see that shit?
yeah, but it got shot down.
It did,
Yeah,
but the fact that they tried to overrule basically what is and has been presidential authority, right? So much to the point where it technically stopped for about 6 hours,
oh,
right?
just the other day, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but again, this is it's so far out of the jurisdiction. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
No, the only good argument that I saw in that was that, like, in cases where he tries to override an outstanding trade agreement, he actually does not have the authority to do that. So if we have a signed deal with, like, England, he can't just tariff England. So because we already have an agreement. So I did see that one.
I can see that, but
Yeah.
he can still set tariffs
If there's not, or if it doesn't actually, if it's not more restrictive than the current trade policy, yes.
if it's not more restrictive.
Yeah. Well, no, that makes sense, man. I mean, you cut a deal with someone, you stick to the deal.
Well, no. You do that.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
but he's allowed to renegotiate those things as well.
He is, yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
but I mean, if it's a formal treaty that has to be like trade treaties actually do they actually are ratified by the Senate. So
That's
right,
that's a different thing.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Which, yes, okay, I get you there. And that's worth sorting out. Look,
Yeah,
as a lot of, I will say this, as far as one of the things that I think is beneficial about this, and yes, I do appreciate that certain things are being questioned because these are things that all seem like there's a lot of shit in here that's like leftover pieces of like, you're trying to make a dinner of like all the shit that went in the trash can. And there's a lot of stuff where it's like, was this ever meant to be done this? Should
right.
this
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
interpreted? Like, what powers are actually here, right? And I don't mind those things being sorted out, but there is some shit that is like, that is clearly not for you to decide. And
Yeah.
it's
Well, and I mean, to
ridiculous.
be fair, you haven't had a president move as fast, in quite some time. So,
Yeah.
some of that stuff does need. I mean, some of it is at him absolutely testing the boundaries of things in full anticipation that he's not going to get what he wants. So, I think the whole Doge thing is a good example of that. It is what it is, man. Like, um, yeah. So Elon Musk can go back to Starship now. So,
He'll be fine.
he'll be fine.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
There was a lot of stuff exposed, and there was actually some waste eliminated. However, if you don't codify this,
Well, they did murder off USAID, so that's good. So
I think
I think
I think
that
that's some shit that like 95% of us would say like this is ridiculous.
I think that stuff right there, just killing that off. Okay, all right, I'll take that as a win. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
The rest of the stuff, whatever. I don't care how many people sit at the fucking trade commission and stuff like that. Whatever.
Hey man, actually, the one that makes the most sense for me, just because I was part of it, you're still part of it in many ways. I think the Department of Education has needed a thorough reevaluation in terms of dollars per performance for a long time.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is the right answer, but frankly, it needs to be fucking looked at.
it does. I don't know if there's going to be the oomph to do that at the moment. Um, He does. His Secretary of Education's pretty hawkish. So, what's her name? Sal, whatever. It's not the same one he had last time.
No, you're talking about McMahon.
McMahon,
Yeah,
yeah. So
from the wrestling
from
McMahons.
the wrestling McMahons. But turning over student loans to the SBA, I don't think that's going to last.
What?
Considering I'm currently fighting, my wife's lender, who magically lost two of our fucking payments. So during the whole hoopla,
What hoopla?
the Doge shit. When all those guys got laid off, they didn't record two of my payments. Now they say, "Well, them an extra $1,000." I'm like, no, I don't. So, yeah.
Um, I presume these are electronically debited.
These are electronically debited. Yeah. No, I never let them near my fucking bank account. No way.
Oh,
So yeah,
how were these people paid?
I do it through not through. Well,
Through bill
I
pay?
do it through the bill play.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, so that has clear checks.
it has clear checks.
Oh,
Yeah, they're still trying to send me the collections. So,
good luck.
well, they can do that with a phone call, and I can't stop them.
They can, but when it comes down to it, if you paid, you paid.
Yeah, I know. So, but anyway,
That is not the kind of thing you would lie about.
no, I wouldn't. No. So I pay.
Right.
But yeah,
It's in the
but
Bible.
yeah, exactly.
Labor is worthy of his hire.
Desire. Yeah, exactly. So love thy lender.
Yeah, see, that's the okay. Now there's different rules about that.
There are different rules about that. Yeah.
Very specific rules about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think they're only charging me 5%. That's not even close to biblical usury. So
My understanding is that you're not supposed to get interest from the tribe.
I'm not a member of the tribe.
And see, that's where some bullshit kicks in.
Hey man, that's up to them, not me.
No, sir, that is not the rubber doesn't meet the road in modern society with that.
What? No interest payments?
That's correct.
Everybody gets a motherfucking truck. What are you talking about? We're selling every day.
If you get them for the tribe, it should be the same for all.
I guess, but I don't think you can go to Citibank as a Jew and say you're not allowed to charge me interest. I'm pretty sure Citibank charges Jews interest. So probably because it's not owned by Jews.
Right.
Yeah. So
some of them are.
Some of them are, but not the ones that I deal with. But
right?
Anyway, I couldn't tell them apart anyway. But yeah, no, like that. It's fine, but it's one of those silly things that just I don't really understand. But
maybe there's not much to understand.
There's not much to understand.
Well,
unlike The Hole, did you see my video?
I did not watch the whole thing.
You can't watch. It was on the background.
Holy mother!
Do you want the fucking short version?
Give me the short.
That dude is fucking insane, dude. Okay, so the first episode is great, and you're like, oh my god, yeah. And the guys are calling in, giving them great suggestions. The distance between the hole, but then if you get about 3 episodes into that, you can just see Art stringing him along.
Yeah.
It's so funny because it turns into this story about like, well, it wasn't actually my land; it was my wife's land, and I lived on a trailer there. She didn't know I was there because I wasn't supposed to be there, but I went there to get my gun back, and this was a special gun that I found in a shoebox on the property. It was owned by a Nazi SS colonel. And it had this thing where if you pulled the trigger, it started making radio noises. Like I could get baseball games. And it was like, holy fucking shit, dude, this guy is crazy. He just goes completely off the rails. And it gets to this thing where, like, in the last episode, he's just banging on his ex-wife for the entire thing. He's like, I used to give her $25,000 a month, Art. So yeah, he was like, really, in 1985, huh? So, what did you do for a living? I ran a motel, kind of thing.
What's weird is sometimes that shit ends up being true.
That one is not true. That one is not true, man. So yeah, it was just it went way off the beaten path. And so anyway, now I'm doing the Bigfoot one, so we'll see where it goes.
Okay, yeah, I dipped it. I was like, I can't watch all of this.
I didn't watch all of it. I watched most of it, just shit going on.
Yeah, if you're doing something else here, but I was like, I can't. That's while I'm working.
No, but it's interesting because like a lot of his callers, the first time they call in, it's like, oh, this guy's got a cool story.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then Art will invite him back,
yeah.
and then they'll come back, and then they'll have to make the story better than what it was the first time.
Yeah.
And he knows exactly what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I
know.
know.
That for years. Yeah.
So he just sits there and just gives him a little inch of line at a time, and just lets the guy run with it. You know,
The best radio dudes used to do that.
Yeah.
That they made a business of when you find that right caller, you basically like deputize them, and you make a segment out of those guys like every couple of weeks.
yeah,
And yeah, it's there was. I got to tell you, there was something nostalgic about that. Where I'm
oh
like,
yeah,
this is what good radio used to
it
be.
used to be like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with just the quick callers, you know. Thanks, caller. Where are you calling from?
Yep.
Yep. Oh, great. Caller number 2. Where are you from? You know, it's just like, oh man, that's so much better. Nobody does that on podcasts anymore.
No.
You know, even where they have like callers and stuff on, because there's a couple that I listen to where they still do live calls like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, is there anything else you'd like to say? Well, blah 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 blah. It's like, cut this motherfucker off.
Yeah.
You know, and ours just like, yeah, thanks, caller. Click. You know?
You know, it's just it was a different art form.
It
at the
is a
time.
different
Yeah.
art form. Anyway, anything else?
No.
No.
No. I think we're good.
Okay,
I think we're
Pat.
good. I'm Jeffrey.
I'm in, but
Yeah.